What's up, Speak For Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak For Yourself.
Welcome to Speak For Yourself. Marcellus Wiley up here accepting compliments from Emmanuel Ocho off air. Can you bring that?
I just said that's a good suit. You look good today, big dog. You look good today.
You said it with a lot more emphasis off air. Now you're like, it's all right. It's a cute suit. Well, you look Nino Brown-ish in a pinky way. All right, let's get to our top story. You don't even know who Nino Brown is. Delivered by Pizza Hut. Order today at pizzahut.com. Damn, you young. We start in Dallas, where the Cowboys have not made a decision on Dak Prescott. Whether it ends up being a long-term deal or the franchise tag for the second time, Dak is still not under contract for the 2021 season. Cowboys legend Michael Irvin believes that, quote, the number one priority should be Dak. That's no doubt. So, Nino, do the Cowboys need to keep Dak Prescott?
Who is Nino Brown?
New Jack City. Have you ever seen? I've heard. Once someone does this, I've heard. You haven't seen it. It's okay. You go home, binge watch. Go get that in. New Jack City.
Let me answer the question. Oh, I'm about to offend some people.
Ooh.
America, I'm about to offend some people. The Dallas Cowboys do not need Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I'm one.
The operative word there is need. Marcellus Wiley, I've been rushed to a hospital before, right? Had to get some IVs, full body cramps. I can't move.
I've had that.
I can't move.
I've had that. Rambo.
And when you get rushed to the hospital and you're in imminent need of something, you want to know what you don't do. Yeah. You don't deliberate over the price of that thing. Because something you need, you just get. Something you need, you don't sit here and barter over. Marcellus, I've also been in the hospital and I had relatives in the hospital in desperate need of oxygen. You know what I said? I called a family member up. I said, I don't care how much it costs. If my loved one needs it, get it. We'll figure it out in the back end.
That's my dog.
Because things that you need, you don't deliberate over. So if the Dallas Cowboys needed Dak Prescott, why are we still deliberating? Oh, we're deliberating because it's not a need. We're deliberating because it's a want. Now, Sal, we only 2 minutes into the show.
And you are coming with fire.
Sal,
what?
They don't need him, big dog. And it's so unfortunate. And I got to put all Cowboys fans on notice, Dak Prescott fans in check. It has nothing to do with Dak Prescott not being amazing, Dak Prescott not being a fearless leader, Dak Prescott not being a tremendous guy, tremendous person. It's not about that. But we really have to focus in on having some sort of ego complex when you talk about needs. You said this yesterday. I can attest to it as a former athlete, yourself a former athlete, much better than myself. But we say this. We all have ego complexes, athletes do. We think we're better than we are. We start to think that, oh, they need us. They can't win without me. I'm the biggest, baddest dude on the team. And the more the athlete believes it, at times a fan can start to believe it. Please allow me to remind you, Jerry Jones does not feel like he needs anybody, Dak Prescott included. So do the Cowboys need Dak Prescott? No, because things that you need, you don't deliberate over.
Ooh, that's strong. I can't hate. I had rhabdo too. Total body lockdown and kidney issues.
The worst.
Yeah, I had it.
Worst.
Protein not processing properly. It's funny, you've been in the hospital a lot, and I was just in the hospital last Friday. Didn't get the call from Acho. If he needs anything, I got him. The hell are we doing up here if we ain't got no real relationship? I'm watching you, bro. You different. All right, let me answer the question. Hell yeah, they need this dude. What you talking about? You have to understand two things. One, Jerry Jones has already showed that he needs Dak Prescott. 5 years, $35 million per year was offered to Dak Prescott. Dak said, nah, I'm good. That's too long of a term. Interesting. Does that mean that Jerry Jones needs Dak Prescott? Obviously. Why would you make that type of offer, which at the time would have been the second highest paid player in NFL history, now being trumped, obviously, by Deshaun Watson? Why would you make that offer if you don't need them? Oh, okay, forget that. That was just an offer. You know, you can't use negotiations against someone. They say that in the court of law. Hopefully you never have to go to court, and you will understand that. But let's talk about the fact that Dak Prescott and his improvement, whatever you say that he needs to improve in, is a greater opportunity for you to bet on than the opportunity to go out there and find someone who's as good as Dak and may take you to the promised land. I'm going to say that again. This space between Super Bowl championship and where Dak Prescott is a smaller space than whoever else you're going to go out there and get and try to hope they become Dak and then still close that same gap to a Super Bowl championship, whether that's through the draft or even free agency based on the people available. And I remind you once again that the Cowboys went quarterbacks from the time Troy Aikman retired after 2000 season until they lucked into Romo, an undrafted free agent. And then when you had Tony Romo out there, it took him a second to get on the field till Drew Bledsoe to one too many of them picks. And they said, all right, roll out the undrafted guy. And I was on a team with Tony Romo when he was a fourth stringer, probably not going to make the team until injuries in that training camp. All of that said, man, you asking Jerry Jones to roll the dice to look for someone greater than Dak Prescott, and you're also trying to look at the fact that he's already showed his need for Dak Prescott as just a shot in the dark. Come on, big dog. None of that adds up.
Sal, we going so many places here because you brought up so many great points that I want to discuss, not argue. I want to discuss with my big bro here.
All right.
When you're talking to and about Jerry Jones, because the only thing that matters isn't what y'all think. It's not what I think. It's not what you think. It's what does Jerry Jones think? Does Jerry Jones think that he needs Dak Prescott? And the answer is no. You bring up the point of Jerry Jones. Is he really willing to roll the dice and just see what happens? So I've been to casinos. You have too. You know you spend time in Vegas. Far too much time in Vegas. But you know you spend time in Vegas with them dudes who go for broke every time.
Yeah.
But you know what they think?
Yeah.
Oh, this next roll, Acho. I done been to the casino with my dog Earl Wolf. Yes, you, Earl. And every time he thinks, oh, this next hand, Acho, this gonna be the one.
Chill,
Double
Earl.
down.
Chill,
this
bro.
hand gonna be the one.
Chill,
Double
bro.
down. Till they beat us down to our socks. Walking out the casino with ain't nothing left. They took my watch. Here, take it. Take it. I'm out of money. That's what Jerry Jones has the kind of confidence of, Sal.
Oh, okay.
You talked about he lucked into Tony Romo. Egos don't believe in luck. Egos believe in themselves.
Whoa!
Be real.
Achoism. Yes.
Be real, big dog. If you're Jerry Jones, and I can't even fault him, he's looking at his last 15 years. He said, wait a second, Marcellus Wiley. That's what he called you. He called you by your full Marcellus Vernon Wiley.
That was before.
He called you by your government
That was before he saw me play for him. After that, he called me stuff I can't say on air. All right.
So look,
What?
Jerry Jones is like, I got Tony Romo, an undrafted quarterback. And I got with Tony Romo for about 10 years as my starter. Then I found Dak Prescott, a fourth-round quarterback. And I've gotten 5 good years out of Dak Prescott as my starter. I don't need you, Dak. Because if not you, Dak, I'm going to go find somebody else. Because I found you in the 4th round. You weren't no first-round pick. I didn't take Wentz.
First-round pick.
I didn't take Goff.
Okay.
I found you in the 4th round. And guess what? Tony Romo, I found him in free agency. I can do this. I do this. 3 Super Bowls. Me, Jerry Jones, Dynasty. So it doesn't matter what I think. It don't matter what you think. I've said this again. Jerry Jones does not believe he needs Dak Prescott.
You are fully embodying what Nino Brown is. And you don't even know who Nino Brown is. But what you just did was what Nino Brown did. Cancel Dak. I'll buy another one. You'll watch the movie, you'll understand that. Everyone at home is laughing right now. Okay. The guarantee that you think that they're going to find them another 4th round-ish Dak Prescott is absurd. The fact that I look at other franchises that had the same type of ego when they had a great quarterback said, I'll find another one, whether it's the luck or it's the ego. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins right now. Ooh, are they still looking for that franchise quarterback? Not in my eyes, as Acho just reminded me. It's not what you think, Marcellus, because I think Tua is a franchise quarterback. But do the Miami Dolphins think he's a franchise quarterback? Yanking them not once, yanking them twice in the 4th quarter of games for an old man Fitzpatrick. Shout out to Ivy. So, Miami Dolphins, that's one. What about the New York Jets? Do they have a franchise quarterback? Since Joe Namath, they say we haven't had a franchise quarterback. I, once again, will go on record and say Vinny Testaverde, for a few minutes there, was something special. But then they would say, he was 35 when he became a New York Jet and played to the age of 40 as a New York Jet. Shut up, Marcellus. Okay, I'll then push back again. What about the Cleveland Browns? Have they found a franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield? I say no. They're saying we don't know. The point is, look at 3 different franchises, and I could continue to bore you, that are sitting there saying, we're going to find us a franchise quarterback. Where are they? Man, it's the scarcity out there, brother. It's hard to find. Since you bring up first rounders, let's talk about first round quarterbacks over the last 15 seasons. 44 quarterbacks have been drafted in the first round over the last 15 years. Only 4 have a winning playoff record.
Not good.
So even if you're in the first round, you're sitting there like good. Jerry, and Jerry's been in the first round before. Let me get Manziel. His son said, hell no, we ain't taking Manziel. But the point is, even if you grab a first-round quarterback, only 4 have panned out to even give you a winning playoff record. Patrick Mahomes, that worked. Joe Flacco, it worked. Mark Sanchez, and W and O, not the R and the K. And Blake Bortles, come on, man. Like, the point is, those are the first rounders. Where you gonna find Dak at again, big dog? Tell me, please. Tell me, please. You have nothing there. I knew it.
But here's the question, no, Sel.
What?
Do you need a franchise quarterback or just a quarterback who can save a franchise? There's a difference.
You are poetic today.
There's a difference.
All right,
because if you're the Dallas Cowboys, do you really need a franchise QB or do you need somebody who can save you, i.e. Tom Brady? Now, obviously, Tom Brady can't join Dallas, but my point is, can you just find a stopgap?
I see.
Because if you're Jerry Jones, you're looking at Dak Prescott. Do I want to make him the highest or second highest paid QB when he's going into year 6 coming off an injury? Do I need him? If you're Jerry Jones, would you rather a guy who will give you some high highs, some low lows, or Dak Prescott who's just Eddie good? Because let's talk about it. Since Dak came into the league, he's tied for 6th with the most wins of any quarterback. Who is he tied with? Jared Goff. Poll anybody right now.
Okay.
They'd probably rather have Dak Prescott than Jared Goff. Surely they would.
Yeah, I would.
But if you were to look and you were to ask Jerry Jones, hey, big dog, would you have rather been in 1 Super Bowl, make the playoffs 3 times? Yeah, you lost the Super Bowl, but you were there. Or would you rather have 2 playoff appearances and have 1 win? That's Goff's career versus Dak's career. Now, right now, we would all choose the franchise quarterback Dak over the quarterback we just shipped off from L.A. to Detroit and Goff. But if you're Jerry Jones, do you want steady Eddie or will you take the high with the low? Because what you know about Dak Prescott is he is very, 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 very good. But you haven't seen that high. You haven't seen that low either now, because Carson Wentz gave you 11-2, and then Carson Wentz gave you 3-11-1. Terrible and amazing. Dak Prescott, he gave you 10, he gave you 8, he gave you 9, he gave you 8. Do I want a franchise quarterback or a quarterback that can just save the franchise, even if it's just for 1 year?
Well, I mean, run the franchise like you run your life. You handle the most important things first. It's funny, I was talking to a professional coach one time, and he was talking about, this is amazing, how 2 things that we take for granted or we don't take full notice of is, one, that time doesn't speed up or slow down for anything or anyone. Think about it. 1 second, 2 seconds. No matter what's going on in your life, time's like, I don't give a damn. Just like that. Methodical, man. Love that. Another thing he also said is, prioritize, my brother. The things that happen to you, put them in a pecking order. Put them in an order of priority. You know what that means? Don't answer all your emails. Answer the ones that's going to get you paid, the ones that's going to make you delinquent if you don't pay, and then just try to go through them as you may. And then after that, the rest, it will sort itself out. And I was like, man, hell no, you ain't going to make me irresponsible. And then he started to say, but how much of this is going to impact that? You're trying to approach it like this. Just find someone who could just hold you down for a second. Answer that last email. Go get a Jared Goff. And then you're going to be right back in the same place that you just left a day ago, or in your case, a year ago. Let me give you some numbers to support what my professional coach told me. I love that dude. If I'm Dak Prescott, I'm sitting there saying, I have the 7th best quarterback passer rating in NFL history. Now, it's not my fault that I was a 4th rounder, wasn't even expected to play. Remember that training camp, and then Romo gets hurt. Now all of a sudden I'm the guy, and Zeke takes off, and I'm kind of right behind Zeke, but Zeke is our leader on offense. Let's be real. But we didn't necessarily have the strongest receiving core, but we had some dudes. We still had Dez. We're out there with them, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, Dak says, I finally have blossomed. I fully blossomed. Never missed a game for you either, Jerry Jones. And then when I fully blossom, it turns into me having 1,690 passing yards in just 4 games. It turns into him at an NFL passer rating record in terms of yards per game. 422 yards per game this dude was doing over the first 4 games. He is ready. Was his defense ready?
No, sir.
Was Zeke ready?
No, sir.
Was special teams ready?
No, sir.
Was coach ready?
No, sir.
So now you're going to penalize me because I'm finally in the season of blossoming and blooming, and no one else is there with me. That's why you got to go in on Dak Prescott. If you look at the room necessary for him to improve, for this team to improve, it's the smallest of all of those that I just named. Mike McCarthy has to do much better than Dak does. Zeke has to do much better than Dak does. Defense has to do much better than Dak does, and the special teams as well. So when you look at Dak, who has the most quarterback wins, highest completion percentage, most passing yards, most passing touchdowns, and highest passer rating in Cowboys history through 5 seasons, you're going to say that's the guy I discard?
What I'm going to say is if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm going to say what Outkast said, and I'm going to say it to Dak. I know you like to thank yo. Don't stank, because Dak Prescott, you also were 3rd in turnovers while you were playing. You also were 3rd in turnovers inside of our own territory. So if Dak is approaching Jerry with all those phenomenal stats, 1,700 passing yards, 422 yards a game, I wouldn't even say nothing. I would just turn that Outkast track on for the first part. I know you like to think your stuff don't stink. You feel me? But the fact of the matter is, hey, Dak Prescott, you have some little statistics too. You also were turning the ball over, too. So, yes, Dak, I'm not going to turn a blind eye to everything you did great, but I'm not either going to turn a blind eye to what you did poorly. And that's going to land Jerry Jones back to how he feels about Dak Prescott as a want. A want, you measure the value of it versus how much it costs. A need, you don't do no measurements. Dak Prescott is a want. He's not a need.
That 5 years, $35 million per year that I looked at and said, not good enough, Jerry. If you're going to turn Dak into that person, that girl, Dak, if I'm Dak, I'm that girlfriend, and I've had her before saying, good luck doing better than good luck. Well, Jerry's going to try and figure it out. I know that. I know that ego. Coming up at the top of the hour, LeBron is right with Draymond Green about the double standard between players and teams in the NBA. Charles Barkley thinks Draymond is annoying. We'll tell you where we're at. But first, our boy Colin Cowherd said multiple Seahawks players feel like their offense is stuck in the 80s. Neither of us were born in the 80s, 70s, 90s. But we'll tell you if Russell Wilson is the limiting factor. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Did you write that to you? Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Now, Russell Wilson got some heat last week for taking shots at his offensive line, saying that he, quote, is frustrated about getting hit too much. Now, Wilson acknowledged he needs to, quote, find ways to get better after a year in which Russ cooked his way into the MVP conversation before flaming out in the second half of the season. So, Marcellus, let's dive into this one. There's so many layers.
There are.
In your, is Russell Wilson to blame for the Seahawks' limitations?
Oh, God. I'm torn, and I'm not torn on my answer to this question. I'm torn on the fact that I know I live in a world, a culture, a society now that likability matters so much that it colors analysis. I've talked about that before. And then I'm also torn by my essence, raised by my grandma, Gigi, who said, you better just say that. I don't care how they take that. So I'm going to just lend myself to my familiarity. Yeah, Russell Wilson's to blame for the Seahawks' limitations. God, I like him so much, I love him so much that I don't want to go here. But this is the wrong generation to say anything publicly to because we have Google. And we can go back and find receipts, even if we didn't take notice of those same moments when they were happening in real time. Oh, Russell Wilson. I must start with this headline. The best offensive lineman is a decisive quarterback. Russell Wilson wants to blame right now others. He said, yeah, I need to get better as well. But you know what he also said? My offensive line. Basically, I'm getting hit too often. And you know he wants to take a shot at Pete Carroll, but he's like, man, that's boss right there. I got to be careful on this one. But it's interesting. The line was fine when they were winning the Pete Carroll way. But now they can't win it all the Russ Wilson way. Let's talk about it. Okay, so everybody's talking about Russell Wilson and getting all these hits. 394 sacks in the 9 seasons. Yay!
Not good.
Okay, I'm going to give y'all this. The pressure percentage of the Seahawks last year, the NFL. Okay, so you would say, yeah, justifies what Russell's talking about. He's getting hit all the time. You don't want to do this. You ready to go here? The year they won the Super Bowl, they were the second highest. Wait a minute. Russell, you were taking more pressure when you won a Super Bowl. Uh-oh. Don't follow it up. Did they go back to a Super Bowl and lose? Yes, they did. Guess what it was that year?
What's that?
The highest. So Russell's trying to make it look in perception that he's taking hell out there right now. Yeah, but you used to find your way to heaven through that hell. But now Russell Wilson can't find his way. You know why? Because the Seahawks, trying to oblige him, have lost their way. This is a tug-of-war happening right now where Russell Wilson realizing I can't stand squarely in the mirror and be real that Russell Wilson is declining in the second half of seasons. True. And Russell Wilson also is not being the most decisive with the football behind this offensive line. But to now deflect and point at that offensive line and say, yeah, man, block. And they like, dog, we ain't never blocked. And it used to not be a problem, but now it's a problem. But you want to know who's the common denominator of that problem? That man in the mirror, Russ Wilson, bro.
Oh, man, Marcellus, you took us some places. Now, I'm going to get to where you at.
Okay.
But I got to start somewhere else.
Go over there.
Now, first and foremost, Pete Carroll as the head coach is to blame. Firstly, for the Seahawks limitations. Why? Because it's like any parent, Marcellus, who concedes to what the child wants to appease the child.
Ooh, caught him. You're
right? Like, oh, Daddy, I don't want to eat my vegetables. Can I get ice cream? Okay, son. Daddy, I don't want to eat my vegetables. Can I get ice cream? Okay, son. Next day, Daddy, I don't want to eat my vegetables. Can I get ice cream? Then you look up and years upon years and all of a sudden...
He's me. What happened to my son?
He's 30 pounds overweight.
Oh, yeah.
And you gonna get mad at the daddy because you gave the kid what the kid wanted. That's what's gone on in Seattle.
Okay.
Daddy, I want to pass the ball. Okay, son, you can pass the ball. Daddy, I want to pass the ball. Okay, son, you can pass the ball. Pete, I want to pass the ball. What happens? The more Russell Wilson begins to cook, the more the Seahawks' records or success diminish.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson's first 4 years in the league. Defense was first. That ain't got nothing to do with Russ. That's just Pete Carroll orchestrating his defense properly. That's why I give some blame to Wilson's first 4 years in the league. Rush attempts, first, second, third. 2016, Marcellus, rush attempts were 20th. What the heck happened? Now, this is where it gets tricky.
Where you go?
Every now and then during my show preparation, I see something. And then I think something, and I wonder if what I see and what I think, if they coincide. Marcellus, I asked myself this question, sir. In what year did Russell Wilson get married to Sierra?
Man, come on, dog. We gonna do that here?
I have to. Why? Because Russell Wilson marries a global icon. In 2016.
Then or now?
In 2016.
She was a global icon then?
What? I mean, you ain't see my goodies? Nah, I didn't see it. Woman, okay? I wasn't watching the video. I heard the song on the radio. I never watched the video. I didn't watch the video.
Hey, you ain't got to tell me twice. My wall.
Okay.
Yeah, but...
So you marry a global icon, Marcellus Wiley, and I don't know about you, but I, in a past life, have gone out with a woman above my status level.
Say it again.
I've gone out with a woman above my status level.
Yeah, she had you.
And that put some pressure on you.
To do what?
To be above you. So what happened with Russell Wilson in 2016?
My goodness.
Pass attempts go from What is that?
I got to show up.
Rush attempts all of a sudden go from 3rd in the league to 20th because what happens, Marcellus? The cook gets paid more than the busboy.
Damn you.
The cook.
I'm not talking
He gets
to this
paid
dude.
more than the busboy. Now, Marcellus again. Can we look at this Russell Wilson? We have the pictures, right? Russell Wilson just last week did a phenomenal GQ photo shoot. My God, Russell Wilson was out there stunned. Marcel, look at Russell Wilson on the right.
I can't.
Now,
I can't.
and on the left in 2015.
I can't see him.
On the right,
see something
Russell
else.
Wilson
I can't
is wearing
see
a jacket worth $7,000. On the right, Russell Wilson wearing a T-shirt worth $500. On the right, Russell Wilson is wearing a chain worth $3,000. On the right, Russell Wilson wearing some shoes worth about $4,000 per GQ. On the left, it's just little Russell Wilson. So again, who do I blame for these limitations? A little bit do I blame Pete Carroll, but still, you got to dive into them devil in them details. In 2016, Russell Wilson felt that pressure. He felt that pressure by dating above his means, and he realized a cook always gets more than a busboy. He had to start cooking, and when he started cooking, meals started getting burnt.
Oh, I'm so affected by that take. And it was, I mean, you ain't lying, dog. I mean, everybody knows that pressure can be put on you, and it will affect all things you do.
Do you know, sir?
I didn't even see Russell Wilson in any of those pictures. I don't know what you're talking about. Sierra was number 1 for me in life. Respect to you and your family and your wife. Let me take this back on the field, because, boy, you say Sierra to me, it's a different conversation, because how did it affect him? I will. I'm just, it's amazing. You're going with the pressure angle because he's like, I'm trying to step up to another level of cachet.
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying, no, I think it was a tug of war first. Look, you have to bow down to the Seattle Seahawks defense, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, probably 2016. You just got to bow down to them first. You just see it. And Russell Wilson's like, no, I'm starting to blossom. What's up? Can I get some of this? And they're like, nah, B, nah, it's still defense and run game. And then finally he gets it, which I would say coincides with Sierra, because guess what? He got her handing the ball off. Right? So good for you. Like, it's a real love there, because she didn't know he was a quarterback like he is. That said, all of a sudden, you try to do too much because now you've been chomping at the bit. You've been waiting for so long. You know how it is. You're pinned up. You're like, I can't wait. And then you get it. And then it's all over the place. And then he's finally matured into a good space, which is MVP caliber, but not MVP votes. But still, I'm going to say this before we go to Greg. Explain this. This ain't on Sierra right here. Because he was Sierra in 2016. You said all the way through. In 2019, locked in a divisional battle with the 49ers, Seahawks lost 3 of their last 4 games. His quarterback rating, 69, 78, 95. None of those are Russell Wilson level. Okay, this year. All right, MVP conversation, that goes away. Week 7 to week 10, 3 losses. And in those 3 losses, we're talking about him throwing 7 interceptions. That ain't on Sierra. That ain't on them boots. That ain't on that suit. That ain't on nothing but Russell Wilson not being able to finish what he starts. Got to bring in Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings and see how much his outfit costs. Not much. Do you blame Russell Wilson for Seahawks limitations, Greg?
Yeah, it's definitely not as much as Russell Wilson's outfit as Acho perfectly laid out to us. But I do not whatsoever. I believe it's been solely on the organization and primarily on Pete Carroll. And the reason why I say this is, Marcellus, you talked about the defense and how great they were. And yes, they were great. And Russell Wilson came in and they wanted him to just protect the football, be a game manager.
Yeah.
That's who you are. But as that defense aged, as they started to disperse, and the Legion of Boom was no more, Russell Wilson started to step out to the forefront. He kind of evolved. He grew up. He grew into this elite quarterback. Marcellus, you got kids. Acho, I like your analogy of the parenting and the kid relationship, but it was the wrong analogy. Marcellus, you got Maraca.
Yep.
You got Maraca, who's your oldest.
Yep.
Then you got MJ. And then you got Araya, and I forget your youngest daughter's name.
Olivia. She ain't she Play-Doh right now. She ain't moving.
But you're not going to treat Maraca like you treat Araya or MJ at this stage in her life.
Facts.
She gonna look at you like dad. I'm not an infant. I'm a grown woman. I'm an adult. That is Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. You cannot continue to treat him as if he is that quarterback that needs to manage games for you. Yes, he's going to cook. They're going to grow up. They're going to burn some meals, but they will learn from those meals that they have burned. And they're going to make some really good meals that they have prepared for you that you're like, huh? I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you were cooking like that. Well, Daddy, if you let me cook, you would experience this more often. That's my issue with the Seattle Seahawks. That's why I say the pressure is not on Russell Wilson. It is on Pete Carroll to get this right. His defense was the catalyst. It is no more. It is Russell Wilson. Allow him to grow up and be what he's been able to be when you've allowed him in the kitchen to cook.
I'm with you on 50% of your take. I'm going to go 49% because I'm going to go to the dominant side on my side. I'm with you on 49% of your take, G, because you can't deny Russell Wilson's first 4 years in the league, his defense was first, and third in points allowed. That's his first 5 years in the league, actually.
Yeah.
2 of those years, in his first 4 years, he went to a Super Bowl. One time he won it, and his first year was his rookie season. So, on all of that is on Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, that's all on you, big dog. But, G, now where I leave your take and go to the promised land is here. Russell Wilson said, hey, I need a defensive playmaker. Pete Carroll mortgaged his imminent future to go get Jamal Adams. Not Pete Carroll's fault Jamal Adams was hurt. Russell Wilson said, hey, I am grown enough. Please let me cook. He did that first in 2017. What happened that year? Seahawks only won 9 games. Russell Wilson has double-digit wins in every year of his pro career, except for when he threw 34 touchdown passes, except when he led the league in touchdown passes, except that year which they said, okay, you want to cook? Go ahead and do your thing. What happened this year, Greg Jennings? Hey, I want to cook. I don't just want one MVP vote. I want to win the whole thing. Russell Wilson's words, not mine. They started off hot, but then they faded slowly. So it's not as if Pete Carroll has been babysitting Russell Wilson his whole life. That's what he did early. That's what he did when he was just babysitting him with the run game. Now he's saying, hey, you an adult. Go do adult things. But what happens when your parents let you off to college? Hey, you an adult. I want to go to college. Then you pick up that phone. Dad, Mom, can you put some money in my account? That's what Russell Wilson doing. He like, hey, Pete, man, can you put a running back in my account? Hey, Pete, can you put a pass rusher back in my account? Hey, Pete, can you put something back in my account? Because I thought I was fully grown and could do it by myself. I can't.
Pete on Cash App right now. Damn. Hook this boy up.
And I hear you. I hear all of that. I actually agree with majority of what you're saying. I'm not saying at no point do we ever forget the teachings of our parent. At no point do we ever just say, you know what, I got it completely on my own. I will never listen to anything that you ever taught me. No, we might act like that. We might try to boast and think that it's all about us. But we're reminded of the times when they disciplined us or they spoke some certain words and they planted those seeds that we now carry and we've nurtured over the course of our maturation process. That is Russell Wilson. With him asking for defensive guys, that's because he knows he's been in this league long enough. I can't do it by myself. I can do a lot, but I can't do it completely by myself. I'm not trying to do it completely by myself. But let's look at the offensive side. When he talks about being pressured and being protected up front, Marcellus, you talked about this a little bit, saying the quarterback's best is getting the offensive lineman's best friend is a quarterback that's decisive.
Yes.
Well, look, I'm going to need you to protect. When my whole career, I've been, you want me to use my legs? You want me to extend plays like this? This is who I am. Don't try to pigeonhole me to one facet of my game now because you're unwilling to protect now. I still need the guy, the Mark Ungers that you let go away. Like, you give me what I need. Just because just because I'm growing up, you still the parent, you're still in charge, you're still going to be able to plant those seeds. You're still going to say, honey, I know you're doing this. Morocco, I know you got it. I know you're an adult. I know you're going to make your decisions, but you should consider this. That's all I'm saying.
Man, y'all, woo, this was amazing. I mean, we went all the way there in this take, which is amazing. But I think to simplify things, Russell Wilson became the highest paid player in the NFL. And when he became the highest paid player in the NFL, we know the flip side of that others won't be empowered because others won't be there. You don't have enough money in a hard salary cap to take care of others once you take all the money. So us looking at Sierra, the defense, the running game, Pete Carroll, whatever it is, in part, these are the consequences of eating up all the money. Now, it's funny to look at this situation and sum it up as this. The Seahawks' most successful years came when they had a great defense and a great running game. Let's not look at this any other way. Now, Russell Wilson wanted to get his. As Kobe Bryant once said, it's important to win, but it's more important to win my way. You know what I mean? Russell Wilson wanted to win, and he wanted to win his way. He's fallen short of just that. And I'm going to quote someone who wrote an amazing article on Russell Wilson, and then we'll go. Matt Calkins, he said, woof, and this is poetic, lackluster as the offensive line has been over the past couple years, Wilson has fallen short of superstardom, Sierra. The man who signed the richest deal in the NFL 2 Aprils ago has been a hash mark or two shy of expectations. Second half of the last 2 seasons, Russell Wilson went from all world to just all right. Watch yourself, Russell. Don't deflect. Coming up, the Steelers just addressed Big Ben's future with the team, and it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement. Is a future Hall of Famer done in Pittsburgh? That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
History is a series or collection of events. One name does not do it justice. It's a group of names. Dr. Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, so many more. Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, John Lewis, those that put their lives on the line. Some paid the ultimate price by losing their lives. Some put their lives on the line. The Freedom Riders that went city to city trying to get people out to vote so we could have rights in America that was afforded to us by the Constitution. So when I think of Black History Month, those are some of the names that I think of.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Woo, if y'all can hear us off mic. Let's head to Pittsburgh, where the Steelers have left the door open for Ben Roethlisberger to return. But not under his current contract, which has a whopping $41 million cap hit next season. Today, Steelers general manager Kevin Colbert addressed Big Ben's future and didn't exactly give a ringing endorsement for the 2-time Super Bowl champ, saying, quote, "As we sit here today, Ben is a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He reiterated to us that he wants to continue to play. We told him we have to look at this current situation." Greg Jennings is back with us, but out your shots. Think Big Ben is done in Pittsburgh?
I do. Man, after that, you got to think he's done. Because I look at the history to figure out the future. I look at what happens around to figure out what's about to happen. Rams general manager Les Snead, what did he say about Jared Goff about 3 weeks ago? He said that Jared Goff is a Ram at this moment. He's a Ram right now. 1 week later, he was traded. What'd Sean McVay say? Sean McVay said he's our quarterback right now. 1 week later, he was traded. If I'm looking at Ben Roethlisberger and I'm hearing nearly the exact same verbiage from someone in the exact same role talking about Big Ben as a Steeler right now, or Big Ben as a Steeler in this current situation, yo, that don't sound like it's committal. Woman asks you, what do you think about us in our future? Yeah, I mean, we're dating right now. Huh? Right now, that's all you need to hear. That is a large-scale indictment. I think the Steelers realize, it's time for us to be done with Big Ben. It's time for us to move on. Now they're just trying to figure out the best way to do it amicably, the best way to do it peacefully.
Oof.
I think Big Ben is done, and it's not just about the financial hit, which Marcellus, you told us a $41 million cap hit, but it's about the regression of Big Ben Roethlisberger. When you look at this division and the quarterbacks within his own division, not even going outside of that, the Cincinnati Bengals, who were last in this division, might arguably, with a healthy Joe Burrow, have the best quarterback in the division. And then you look at Baltimore, who has a unanimous MVP in Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield just got his team over the quarterback that we're talking about in the playoffs for the first time and winning a playoff game. When you look at Big Ben Roethlisberger, he has regressed. He has not been the great equalizer that he has always been for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when you're a team that is Super Bowl or bust and you start off as hot as they did, and then your quarterback is one of the primary reasons why you're not propelling to the forefront and staying there, you got to address it. And I love he's had a phenomenal career, but his time is starting to fade to the back because of his regression. And it happens to all of us with the exception of Tom Brady. Big Ben, this is just the natural progression of players getting older and time passing them by. Great career, buddy.
Man, y'all right. It's a wrap. Ooh, it is a wrap. Now, all they trying to figure out is how to land this big-ass plane on this little strip right here called Big Ben, because Big Ben is a living legend, especially in Pittsburgh. You cannot take away his accomplishments, and I won't. But they don't look at you for what you've done. They look at you for what you can do going forward, as Greg said, the regression. In football especially, there's always this age versus ability balance that they try to strike. And look, the younger you are, the less you even have to show. They're like, it's coming, it's coming. But the older you are, it's kind of like the more you need to show, because we all been in the locker room before. Dog, let somebody have their 30th birthday party. Everybody like, oh, damn, you're in trouble, bro. As soon as you turn 30 in NFL, tick, 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 the clock is ticking. Ben is going to be 39 years old this year. Woo! And let's talk about how he played last year. Everyone saw the 11-0 start, and then we saw all of a sudden go 1-4 the last 5 games. But I remind you guys, even through the process of the wins and the losses, Big Ben wasn't Big Ben. Look at these yards per attempt. He had a 6.3 yards per attempt, and that's low for Big Ben. But let's look at the only guys lower than him. Nick Foles got benched. Dwayne Haskins may take his job, and that's not good. Carson Wentz and Sam Darnold. If that's your company, why would we want to give you $41 million going forward? So it's just as simple as this. All they're trying to do is handle the PR of letting the living legend land, because they don't want him to crash land, because he still has equity not only in the community, but also with the franchise. But trust me, when you call somebody and say, hey, I'm just checking in, letting you know I still want to play next year, and they say, yeah, we'll see. Oh, brother, I've been there before. It's a wrap.
Big dog, let me piggyback off that point before I pivot. Marcellus, you've been in L.A. for a long time.
My whole life, bro. L.A. on mine. Don't let me throw it up.
You know a lot of famous people, hung out with a lot of famous people. Your boy just stepped to the scene.
Okay.
So I've met a lot more famous people in these public relationships, Sel. And what I've realized over the last 7 months is they always break up privately before they break up publicly.
Okay.
What I realize is they always navigate no stuff. Hey, who gonna move their stuff out of storage? Okay, who gonna get their stuff out this house? Okay, yeah. But what about the dog? They always do it privately before they do it publicly. The Steelers are handling this breakup privately right now. We gonna find out, me, you, Greg, the rest of the world, y'all watching, y'all gonna find out publicly here in a little bit. But I feel like they're handling this breakup privately right now. Now let's get to the why would they even want to break up. Mike Tomlin, 14 seasons in Pittsburgh. never had a losing record. Mike Tomlin, as I counted right now, 3, 6, 7. 7 quarterbacks have started multiple games. 6 quarterbacks, to be exact, have started multiple games under Mike Tomlin. They each have a winning record. Whether it's Mike Vick was 2-1, Landry Jones was 2-1, Duck Hodges, he didn't have a losing record. So if you are Mike Tomlin, you looking around saying, it don't matter who I roll out there, we're still going to be okay. I'm going to end it by saying this, and I'm sure Mike Tomlin knows it. Good is the enemy of great.
Yes.
Ben Roethlisberger is good, but Ben Roethlisberger being good might be the enemy of the Pittsburgh Steelers being great. Like Sal said, it's boom or bust every year for Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, for me, it's all about the regression of Big Ben. And I hear all of that and the breakup in private and all. The reason why they're going to break up in private is because Big Ben is no longer making the guys around him better. And at the quarterback position, at his age, you can't afford, there has to be something of value that you bring more than just your smarts. Like, I get it. You're smart, but you're one of the reasons why we can't hold on to the ball, because you're creating more turnovers. You're not really advancing us offensively. When you look at their receiving core, yes, they dropped a lot of balls, but they'll take that. You want to know why? Because they have youth on their side. Yep. We all see that as like, well, you know what? They're going to mature. Those drops are going to subside as they continue to progress their careers. When you look at the talent that they have, specifically their big receivers, like they're thriving off of deep balls. That's something that Big Ben Roethlisberger used to do in his sleep with his eyes closed. Now it's almost like he's shying away from throwing the ball down the field because he doesn't even have the confidence. So when you start to limit the growth and the progression of those guys that, yes, they have flaws, but they are a lot younger and we can build on those, and we feel like they have time to kind of grow out of that. But you've grown out of a lot already. Now you're going back. We can't accept that. And that's where I feel like Big Ben has made it clear that his career is going in the wrong direction. When you look at the quarterbacks that are trying to play in their 40s, his weight, his size, he don't look like he's trying to focus on his body, his physique, and being slender. And nah, Big Ben is like, I am who I am. I've done what I've done, and I can do it for you if you allow me to, but it ain't going to be at the level that I did it in the past. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are like, thank you, but we'll go somewhere else.
Man, you ain't lying. He was dinking and dunking his butt all over the field. They had outcome success, so they didn't really stress the performance success until it came back to haunt them in those last 5 games, including the playoff game where he had 2 interceptions in the first quarter and 4 interceptions in total. And let's be real, Ben Roethlisberger's lost his last 3 playoff games. So in those playoff games, you start to realize what's happening. You lose a game 36-17. You can put that on the offense. But then when you lose a game 45-42, you don't look at Ben so much. You're like, damn, defense. 48-37 to the Browns. Damn, defense. And then you start to realize, why are we going to get Ben out there digging and dunking all this money when we need a little more help? Maybe even on the defensive side, or spread it around. And I know that they can't keep Ben on this roster and draft. I'll give you 2 examples why. Brett Favre, remember when they drafted Aaron Rodgers? Brett Favre had his worst year up to date. 29 interceptions, 20 touchdowns. John Elway, when they drafted Tommy Maddox. Remember how that turned out? 10 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Ben ain't going to groom anybody, and Ben may not perform even if you keep him in the position to groom. It's getting ugly out there. Like Acho said, just wait for the headline. They break it up. Coming up, Charles Barkley clapped back at Draymond Green for saying there's a double standard between players and teams in the NBA. We're either going to clap for that or clap back at Chuck. Next, don't speak for yourself. Watch and speak for yourself. Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Nino Acho over there, killing that pancake. Let's talk some NBA, where yesterday we discussed Draymond Green calling out what he sees as a double standard in how players and organizations are treated. Green's clutch sports compadre, LeBron James, the king, was in agreement, saying, quote, we just want people to understand that there's 2 sides of the coin. It's not just one-sided. Charles Barkley weighed in with his side, saying, quote, Draymond has to really be careful. All that stuff is cute when you're winning. But when you're in last place, it's annoying. Cleveland Cavaliers are trying to protect their asset, and they're going to trade them. They're doing what's best for them. Fox Sports NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher joins us, but Acho, let's hear your side first. You have a problem with Chuck and his criticism of Draymond Green?
I do, man. I don't like Charles Barkley's take there. And why don't I like it? Because it actually is a micro picture of a macro problem. It's a smaller picture of a bigger issue for those that failed microeconomics. Now look here. Criticism gets risky if you're saying your voice is only worth something when you are winning. Regardless of what we define as winning, whether it's in basketball, win-loss record, or winning in society, which we usually dictate based upon how much money a person does or does not have. But if you only allow someone to speak up based upon their perceived success, it starts to get very dicey. Because, newsflash, some of the most successful people are actually pretty unintelligent. Some of the most successful people aren't actually that wise when it talks to speaking about bigger pictures, bigger issues. Draymond Green wasn't whiny. To me, he was noble. He wasn't defending her on an opposing team. He wasn't attacking an opposing team. He was attacking an opposing construct. So I view what Draymond said is noble, and I will never get caught up in diminishing somebody's intellectual level or diminishing somebody's wisdom and what they have to offer based upon perceived success. Let me hear what you got to say first. Then I'll decide if you're an idiot or not.
Yeah, hold on a second. That hot water bottle suit is getting to me. If people didn't see it during one of the breaks, but one of the technicians came out looking for the dimmer switch. I'm not sure that he necessarily found it. I'm going to fight through, though. Yes, I have a problem. Not with the suit. I can't pull it off. I'm jealous. I have a problem with what Charles said. More of a problem with what Charles said than with what Draymond said ultimately, because to Acho's point, since when do we determine someone's right to speak based on their status? Nelson Mandela and Aaron Brockovich weren't exactly on winning streaks when they spoke out. And I don't want to inflate what Draymond is fighting for to that level, but still, that ultimately is the point. Chuck's attitude is exactly what Draymond is speaking about, which is that if you have the power, you can do whatever you want. And if you don't, then you just have to shut up and listen. And ultimately, the exaggeration that Chuck used about if you're in last place about the Warriors, they're not in last place. They're actually in 8th in the playoff picture, which is amazing considering what they have. And Draymond is a big part of that. Also exaggerated when he said that Draymond was the least famous person in a boy band, to equate that with his status with the Warriors. The tell is when somebody has to exaggerate to make their point usually has some flaws in it.
That's a good point.
And that's what I see with Chuck here. It wasn't deserved, and it really misses the mark.
Okay. All right, let's go here, y'all. Because I have to declare that I don't have a problem with what Charles Barkley said. Even though I have mixed emotions, I understand what you guys are saying. But this one took a little deeper analysis from me to understand what Chuck was really saying. Okay, let's start here. One, I always speak the truth, and I firmly believe everyone should speak the truth. Talking about that same essence, no matter what your circumstances are, tell the world how you feel about it, your truth and your reality. But then, that's what you guys are kind of saying. But then I had to beat up my own point and say, but wait a minute, Chuck's a former player. And sometimes when former players are talking to other players, they talk in code. And I started to realize, the Chuck code came out on this one. And this is what it is. Be aware in this world, and Acho touched on it, how people will listen to the messenger more than the message when they like you, when you're successful, when you're famous. Acho said it this way. There's a lot of famous people that aren't intelligent. So what happens in this world is we have a strong focus on the messenger, and we don't really listen to the message. But what Chuck is saying is, Draymond, when you're winning, it's all good because you're a good messenger. You're famous, you're likable, everyone was with you. But when you're not, you either got to tell the truth or I'm going to call you out for lying. Now this is where we are. Basically, this is what happened. This is gangster. Go, Chuck. Chuck's tired of beefing with Draymond in part, so he's not going to fully say this, but I'm going to read into it the way I saw it. Draymond Green went out there, y'all, and he said, oh, man, it's a double standard out there, and the world is tripping, and y'all need to understand this, and LeBron doubled down on it, and everybody said that. Yeah. And Chuck's is like, dog, you know you lying. Either you're lying, you're delusional, or you're pandering. So when you're not a winner, that's not allowed. But when you are a winner, it's okay because people just gonna take it at its surface. People gonna get caught up in the messenger and not the message. What Charles Barkley really explicitly wanted to say is, bruh, since you ain't the man no more, nobody trying to hear all that BS. And he didn't say that, but if you know athlete code, he basically looked at Draymond and told him that.
See, but Sel, that's where I think Chuck is ignorant in his response. Chuck is a little bit off guard and off-putting. What do I mean by that? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're good at everything.
Facts.
And that's where we get a little bit confused.
Facts.
Marcella, so often fans will be like, oh, I want to hear this guy as an analyst. I want to listen to that guy's football opinions. Just because he can play the game does not mean he can talk about the game. Just because he can play the game does not mean he can break down the game. So just because you have a winning record, like Charles Barkley's saying, does not mean you qualified to speak about certain things. I think Draymond Green has proven to us he is one of the most thought-provoking players in the NBA. Now, at times he may use the wrong word. At times he may step on a word here or there, but he's proven to us he is one of the most thought-provoking players,
Facts.
a thought leader, a generational kind of mind as far as being outspoken while currently playing. So I don't really care about Draymond's current success because he has earned the right. Multiple-time All-Star, $100 million deal, won several chips. Draymond has earned the right to speak. If nobody else has earned the right to speak, Draymond Green has earned the right to speak. And I think Chuck would be ignorant to neglect Draymond Green's ability to voice his opinions just because the Warriors are 15-13.
Yeah, my problem with what Draymond said is he simply picked the wrong time and the wrong example to utilize because we've got both Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond on the shelf for disparate reasons. One is to aid the player, and the other one is because things aren't quite right with the player. And so his timing is not good. But my issue, and Marcellus, I love the point that you made, and I would tend to agree that that's what Chuck is. He's speaking in player code. But if you're going to speak in code, then isn't it better that you reach out to Draymond and you deliver that code directly rather than put this out in the public and then not even explain it? My greatest issue is that it was kind of a one-off. It's a hit and run.
Yep.
He touches upon it. Hey, Draymond, you're not, you shouldn't be saying that now with the position that you're in. And then they move on. There's no follow-up. There's no, well, wait a minute, why are you saying that or what it is? And again, you don't want to expose the code. Okay, fine. But don't tease the code. Don't put the code out there and then not explain exactly where you're coming from. Because all it looks like now is that he's taking another shot at Draymond, and I don't know that Draymond deserves it. And considering that the two actually worked together on the TNT set at one point and seemed to find a way to put their differences aside, this just seems another kind of side shot at a guy that I thought you'd made peace with.
Yeah. Look, I'm explaining what Chuck was really saying. Not necessarily, that's why I was torn in the beginning, because I was like, I'm with y'all. Like, you can't tell anybody to not say what they feel and what they experience. But what Chuck is saying is, hey, that BS don't work when you're sorry. And he's saying that your team is sorry, so BS is not going to cut through. The only thing that cuts through is the truth and the real. And anybody can say the real. The guy on the end of the bench can say the real. But now you are a guy on a team that is not so good as you once were, and you still riding with the BS that works when you are the man. Woo, Chuck tried to go there. He like, Draymond, you ain't telling the truth. That's why this is some hit and run analysis. I'm going to say that I don't like it, and Draymond needs to be careful. Be careful means when you are the one, with the vanity, with the fanfare. People don't even check to hear your complete sentence. As soon as they hear you, whoever you are, say it, they're like, yes, 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 more affirmation. And what Chuck is saying is, you're not that guy anymore, or your team is not that anymore. So now I need some information. And what Chuck is doing here is saying, what is your premise? Where are you getting this from? And I don't want to hear Twitter. Like, who cares what fans think? I'm a former player. I've experienced it myself. I don't agree with you, Draymond. Explain yourself, because talking to the fan base and using them as an emotional indicator is useless and it's futile. We're former players. You're an active player. I'm a former player. He's sitting there saying, hey, bro, that was cute and fluffy when everybody was just going to clap before they heard what you said. But now that you're saying it in a different situation, you either want to clean that up, as I said before. You got three choices here, Draymond, according to Chuck. Either you're lying, you're delusional, or you're pandering. That's how I read this. But like you said, man, he dropped a grenade on him and ran. We'll see how it explodes. Coming up, Hall of Fame wide receiver Michael Irvin thinks that signing Dak should be the Cowboys' first 4 priorities this offseason. Wow. We'll tell you if the playmaker is making any sense. Next on Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Now, Dak's future in Dallas is still unknown. The Cowboys are hoping to reach an agreement with Dak Prescott before March 9th deadline. But if that fails, Dallas is expected to place the franchise tag on their quarterback. Hall of Famer Michael Irvin stressed urgency on the Dak situation, saying, quote, the number 1 priority should be Dak. That's no doubt. Then number 2 should be Prescott. Then number 3 should be Dakota. Then number 4 should be Rain. That's all I want to hear. Understand what I'm saying? That's it. That's all I want to hear. I don't care about all this other stuff. Then, after we get through Dak, Dakota, Rain, and Prescott, then we will get to the defense. Dak is the first 4 all by himself. Now, Greg Jennings is back with us, but Marcellus, I'm going to go to you first.
Better.
Should committing long-term to Dak be the Cowboys' top priority?
Yes, 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 and yes. 4 times, like Michael Irvin said, when you talk about Dakary Prescott. Man, all the Cowboys' issues, if you just had to sum them all up, are not focused on Dak Prescott. They're on the defensive side of the ball. They may even be on the sidelines. You can look at special teams. You can look at the running game. You can't look at Dak Prescott, man. This is the guy that you need to build around. That's why you already offered him a 5-year and $35 million annual contract, which he turned down. We're in a position right now looking at Dak Prescott and his impact on this Dallas organization. I remind you guys that his playoff win is the same number of playoff wins the Cowboys had in the 6 seasons prior to Dak Prescott. Good luck going out there and trying to find his replacement. As Kevin Sherrington broke down, there's a case for Dak Prescott to feel like Deshaun Watson does in Houston. But luckily for the Dallas Cowboys, that Dak Prescott doesn't go about his business that way. But you got him 4 years on the cheap, and now you're going to pay for it. And good luck to you looking in free agency or through the draft to find Dak Prescott once again. So, to me, this is a really simple issue unless you guys have a strong pushback of the Cowboys. The least of their concerns is the guy right there holding that football about to launch it, Dak Prescott.
Sale, I'm not mad at your take, but I obviously have to push back because they pay me to do so.
Do you?
The Cowboys' top priority should not be Dak Prescott. Their top priority should actually be the offensive line. Because even if you have Dak Prescott and you ain't got no offensive line, which the Cowboys did not have this year, then Dak Prescott's entire abilities will be undermined because he ain't got no offensive line. So from 14 to 2019, the Cowboys had 3 Pro Bowlers every year but 1. In 14, 15, 16, 17, and 19, they had 3 Pro Bowlers: Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin. Whole O-line just Pro Bowl, Pro Bowl, Pro Bowl. It don't matter, Pro Bowlers.
Ballers.
Then all of a sudden this year, Tyron Smith, he hurt, only played 2 games. This year, Zach Martin, he hurt, only played 10 games. This year, right tackle, La'el Collins, he hurt, ain't played no games. And then what happened? Zeke didn't ball, Dak ends up getting hurt, and everything happens catastrophically. Dak Prescott needs to be a priority. But Dak Prescott, without the offensive line, he suffers and Zeke suffers. offensive line, at least Zeke on ball, and your quarterback will be efficient, Dak Prescott or not. So I understand, yes, the quarterback, all hail the quarterbacks, yes, quarterbacks, yes, quarterbacks. I get all that. But I'm going to end it like this. I'm going to end it like this before I bring G in to give his take. What was Patrick Mahomes without an offensive line? Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, the 12-4 team he went to?
You mean that Patrick Mahomes, they couldn't get off his back in the Super Bowl? That they couldn't throw a touchdown?
Boy, that was all on him. Stop running before they get there.
What was Aaron Rodgers without an offensive line when Bakhtiari got hurt?
Oh, he put up points against that Tampa Bay defense. More than
the MVP.
Mahomes. Yes, he did.
No, but
only lost by 5.
Bakhtiari got hurt.
After only lost by 5.
He's the MVP.
You get Patrick Mahomes best in the league. Aaron Rodgers best in the league. Even without offensive lines, they still not who they supposed to be. Top priorities are O-line.
You should have just handed the baton off before making that point. He played without Bakhtiari during the regular season as well. Sorry, your point is completely nothing. But yes, Dak Prescott should be the priority. They've already shown that they're willing to pay everybody else around him. You talked about it. They paid offensive linemen. They paid defensive linemen. They paid secondary. They paid linebackers. They paid running backs. They paid wide receivers. What team do you know that pays everybody but their quarterback? None. But Jerry Jones, what are you doing? Like this guy, Marcellus, to your point, he is not the problem. He is the solution.
Boom.
And you're not going to find someone out there that you're going to pay less money that's going to give you more production. You're not. So stop playing games and pay that man. I hate this because before he was considered the guy and worthy of the contract, we were all talking about, well, does the guys around him make him better? And we could argue that point and say yes. But the last 2 years, including this little stretch that we saw last year before the injury, Dak Prescott proved that he is what makes that team go. Like everyone else around him is no longer making him better. He makes them better. And he's taken that maturation step in that process to where we believe, and I believe, or I should say Marcellus and I believe, you got to pay this man. And when you pay him, I think we sometimes get misunderstood because it's like, okay, yeah, we want to save money for everybody else. And I get that. You got to find a way to build your team. But you can't allow your quarterback, which you have not had. I don't care. Tony Romo, great. He didn't win you Super Bowls. Oh. He won you one playoff game. So let's get beyond that. I'm not saying Dak Prescott has won anything like that, but he gives you the best chance right now. He is in your wheelhouse. Pay this man, and he will provide for you what you're looking for, and you ain't going to find somewhere else.
Preach, Greg. Preach, Greg. Sound like Acho Daddy up there, preacher. He said, did that? I like that. Okay, let's address football like Acho wants to address football. Please. Let's go fix the offensive line. And then what? Have Andy Dalton, no playoff winning butt back there trying to go to the promised land? No shots at you, Andy Dalton, but shots at you, Andy Dalton. So that's not the answer. Oh, no, let's go draft one. And this time, let's draft him in the first round. I told you earlier, Acho. First round quarterbacks, playoff winning record, only 4 out of 44 in the last 15 years. That ain't the answer either. So why wait? It's funny because Tony Romo, did he have to wait for his money? Nah, doesn't look like it. 2007, a little over a year taking the job from Drew Bledsoe. He got that dough. 6 years, $67.5 million extension. And then in 2013, Romo signed a 6-year, $108 million contract. It's interesting if you watch the Cowboys and the missteps this offseason, not being in the hype video. I wonder, is that the beginning to the end? But you know what? Right now, we're going to have a little fun up here because I know Emmanuel Acho is more than a man. He's a brand. But who knew he had this acting history in him as well? As we look at Nino Brown. Yeah, boy. Okay, Ach. Other than the baggie, you right there on your Nino game right there, Acho. I know you haven't seen the movie yet. Get your box right. Get your steps going like Nino did. And maybe you could be a boss like the Kingpin was. Coming up. Yeah. Y'all are stupid. J.J. Watt is considering going to the Browns. Tell you if we think that will make them Super Bowl contenders. Next, speak for yourself. He look like him, Greg.
Yeah,
Saturday is a Fox College Hoops blockbuster as tip-ranked Villanova battles UConn. Shout out to my daughter, Morocco. Followed by number 5 Illinois taking on Minnesota. All tips off Saturday, 12:30 Eastern. Fox, Fox Sports app. Was that dramatic enough? Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. And the Texans released J.J. Watt last week, granting his request to move on after a decade in Houston. And now, according to reports, Watt is seriously considering the Browns as one of his options because they have a lot of what he wants: money and potential for a Super Bowl. So, Acho, with a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt make the Browns Super Bowl contenders.
I think he absolutely would. And this isn't so much such a great credit to everything J.J. Watt can do, as much as it's realizing the Browns were 4 minutes, 30 seconds away from being in the AFC Championship game. Like, let me remind everybody, the Browns were 5 points away, 6 points to be the win, 5 points away from being in the AFC Championship game. The Browns were not far off this year. Let me remind you all, first-year head coach for the Browns. First-year head coach, third-year quarterback, no offseason, and the Browns went this far under Kevin Stefanski in year one. I'm not going to sit here and assume that they're going to regress. Not when Joe Burrow's coming off an ACL and MCL and every CL injury. He's not going to be
Mercedes CL.
Like, straight up. Like, Joe Burrow has a long recovery.
Yeah.
Steelers don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. So as I look at it, the Browns are clearly favorites to compete to win the division or win the division.
Okay.
Right? So now if you win a division, you win the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Now, where are the Browns lacking? An explosive receiver. Oh, wait. Odell Beckham was hurt this year.
Coming back.
Oh, he's coming back.
That boy gonna be
Where
good.
else are the Browns lacking? Pass rush. Yes, they have Myles Garrett, but they're only 15th in total sacks. They got a dog at the defensive end position, but you know this as well. You know this better than I do and better than anyone else. If you got another dog up front, another beast up front, that allows everyone else to eat even more so than they were eating already. So J.J. Watt's only going to let Myles Garrett become better as J.J. Watt becomes better in addition to that. Does J.J. Watt make the Browns Super Bowl contenders? Absolutely, but they were already championship contenders in the AFC. J.J. Watt just gives them that extra bump they need.
We're going to disagree on this one. Nino? No, he doesn't make them a Super Bowl contender for various reasons. One, where the Browns are and adding leadership and 5 sacks ain't closing that gap, bro. I'm sorry. I love you, J.J. Watt. You're going to have to do more to even add to this team that needs to do more itself. Let's be real about this situation. The reason why they're not going to do more is because we still don't know how good they are at the quarterback position. I remind you that Baker Mayfield is the king of inconsistency. I got to talk about Baker Mayfield having a good year. Bad year. Good year. What comes after that in that sequence? Remember the Wonder Lick? Bad year. Oh, man, I hope not. I hope he doesn't have a bad year. But I have to remind people who Baker Mayfield is. Remember he had those 24 straight games without consecutive 250 passing yard games? Remember it was like good, bad, big, for over a year plus. Do I have to remind people that in their division, the Baltimore Ravens exist. In their division, the Pittsburgh Steelers exist. And you laughed at the CLs of Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, but they're in their division as well. Look at Baker Mayfield in the division because Baker Mayfield loves to beat up on those Bengals, but other teams in that division, not so much. Look at this. Oh, does he have a 74 completion percentage against the Bengals and then it drops to 58 against the Ravens and the Steelers? Still got to play them. How you going to win the division? You can't play well against them. Oh, what about your touchdown interception ratio, 5-4? Interesting. What about your passer rating? Drops down from a 129 Bengals, 77 Steelers Ravens. I know that they're a good team, even though you can look at the record and say that the Steelers had a better record. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield. 5-1 against the Bengals in his career. Want to know what he is against everybody else in the league? Everybody else? 18-21. Wait a minute. We got to play more teams than just the Bengals. And J.J. Watt's going to go out there and say, I'm here to save the day. Because I'm going to have to save the day. Baker Mayfield over the last 3 seasons, only Jared Goff has more giveaways than Baker Mayfield. Hey, bro, 5 sacks ain't going to close that gap. So make it make sense for me, Acho, right now, until I can right the ship with the proper captain that I can believe in, that will be consistent.
He hit you where your heart hurts, may hit you in your heart.
Where?
I'm not going to bring in all of Josh Allen's career statistical marks when talking about the very next year.
They improve every year. You should.
Because this past year is vastly different for Josh Allen. 43 total touchdowns, then them 10 touchdowns in through year one.
He don't do that. That ain't Josh Allen. He don't like those roller coasters.
So Baker Mayfield, Marcellus, he's shown us at least this year, the most recent year, in the most recent games against the Steelers, who he beat twice in back-to-back weeks. He's shown us recently what he's capable of, but I'm not going to get sidetracked. What I'm going to focus on is this.
Yeah, don't do
Last
that.
8 Super Bowl champions, they had a top 8 scoring defense. The Browns were 21st in scoring defense. Where do the Browns need to improve? They need to improve defensively.
I get you that.
J.J. Watt, I'm not saying that this is 20 sack J.J. Watt.
What
but
is
the Browns don't need a 20 sack dude.
Oh.
They were 5 points away from beating the Chiefs. Did Patrick Mahomes play? He got knocked out. But the defense had to knock him out. He didn't just willingly leave the field. So the Browns are not far off. Also look at history. Remember Calais Campbell? He came on the show just 2 weeks ago. He joins Jacksonville. Jacksonville adds him and a few other pieces. They move up exponentially in scoring defense. All of a sudden, AFC Championship game. You add defensive line, integral, talented pieces, even if they are vets. They can make some noise. I'm going to end like this. J.J. Watt, 5 sacks this past season, 4 sacks the year before. But when's the last time the Texans had a dog up front to take some pressure off of J.J. Watt? J.J. Watt's not going to have to be it all in Cleveland. He's just going to have to show up and eat off Myles Garrett's scraps. I think he is the difference maker.
Man, boy, stop. He ain't no difference maker because it's not just about one player. I mean, he's going to come in and help solidify the defensive line, which is already amazing because they got Myles Garrett in the building, who's a tremendous talent. But Baker Mayfield, man, he's really your issue. 2 of the 18 games, he eclipsed 300 yards passing. 2. You know why? Because in Cleveland, this is the formula. Lesser Baker is better for us. That's what they do. They run the ball. And then they hope for the defense to go out there and save the day and say, Baker, manage this until you can fully blossom. Has he fully blossomed? And think about the path in front of him, even if he has. Kansas City. Buffalo. What? Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Not going. Point is J.J. Watt added to that mix going to be enough? My notes right here say no, sir, not at all. And my last point, which is crazy about it, is Baker Mayfield is not accurate enough yet. Like, when's he going to get there? You say don't bring up his history. Well, okay, I won't bring up that he's 29th in completion percentage and 26 in passer rating since he got in the league. I won't bring that up. I also won't bring up the fact that
bringing it up,
only 5 quarterbacks had a worse completion percentage than this dude. And you said don't bring up his history. I won't. Only 5 quarterbacks had a worse completion percentage than him last year. J.J. Watt and them 5 sacks and the Captain America flying in trying to save the day. Ain't gonna work. Coming up, we'll tell you if Russell Wilson is happy with Pete Carroll. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Look at the top 10 sack artists last year.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. It's no secret, Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson was not happy with the way the season flamed out. Well, last week, Wilson called out his offensive line and admitted he wanted more say in the team's personnel decisions. Our very own Colin Coward weighed in on the matter, saying, quote, Russell Wilson, I can tell you this, isn't happy with head coach Pete Carroll. So, Marcellus, is Russell Wilson happy with head coach Pete Carroll or not? I heard what Colin said, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Is he happy with him? I don't know if I'm the right guy to answer this, but I think that Russell Wilson is not happy with Pete Carroll, but he's shook. And he doesn't want to go at Pete Carroll because he knows Pete Carroll can and will return fire. I'm not just talking about trying to play with him in the lineup. Forget all that. That ain't happening. Russell Wilson's going to be the starter. But he's just going to say, in his own Pete Carroll way, well, you know, we've had a strong defense and we had tremendous success. We've always had issues up front, even when we won a Super Bowl and was in one and should have won a second one. But you know how that ended with Russell Wilson throwing an interception. And Russell Wilson be sitting there like, what? And put a lot of this back on Russell Wilson. But reason why I don't think I'm the right guy to ask is because I don't even know if you're happy with me. Are you happy with me? I'm known as the co-host killer. Does Acho like me? Because I like Acho, but do you like... See how long it's taking you to answer? Whitlock did the same thing. Max did the same thing. Carissa, Beetle, Carey. Like, I've been in this position before, so I don't know how you feel, big dog. Won't you speak for Russell Wilson? How's it end? Doesn't end well for you. I'll be right here with my own butt, getting bigger and loving life.
Man, I think that Russell Wilson is happy with Pete Carroll, but I don't know if he should be.
Oh.
Right? Like, I think he is, but I don't know if he should be. Why do I say this? Every now and then, Russell Wilson is like, okay, Pete, you have looked out for me early on in my career.
Right.
Early on in my career,
Preach.
you had a great defense. We had a great running game. We won Super Bowls. Now, late in my career, in theory, you've looked out for me. You've given me everything I asked for, but everything I asked for and what I wanted isn't what I needed. And that's why I think Russell Wilson shouldn't be. He gave him what he asked for. You gave him Jamal Adams. Like, what else you want? Traded first-round picks for Jamal Adams. You let him cook. What else you want? You went up and you got DK Metcalf, and clearly other people were sleeping on DK Metcalf. You said, yes, he was injury-prone in college. That's fine. I'm going to take a chance on a dude who had a neck injury amongst other injuries. I'm going to go do that. I've given you what you needed, what you wanted, Russell Wilson, but I haven't given you what you needed.
Yep.
Because what you needed is a stout run game and a good defense. A stout run game and a good defense. And so when Russell Wilson is out there doing what he's wanting to do, chefing it up and all that good stuff, that's not going to win the Seahawks championships. Russell Wilson, it'll get you fame. It'll likely get you paid. It'll get you another contract, likely making you once again the highest paid in a year or two. However, it's not going to get you ultimately what you need. Super Bowls, Super Bowl handing the ball off, Super Bowl MVPs. I think Russell Wilson is at least content with Pete Carroll, but he shouldn't be.
Man, God, my grandma, rest in peace, Black. She's talking to me right now. She's like, baby, just tell him. Russell Wilson is not as good as he think he is. And this is where we are right now. Now, I do mean that. This is why I have to say it. You know what? You made me do this. You brought this out of me. Because you was like, he's giving Russell Wilson everything he's needed. First of all, he gave him the most important thing to Russell Wilson, at least by his demands. Can I be the highest paid? Okay, so when you're the highest paid, that means resources around you, they're going to start to dwindle away because we gave you all the money. Then I'm looking at, like you said, Jamal Adams, we got him for you, big dog. We gave up the farm for him. Carlos Dunlap, you didn't mention him. Brought him in. He had an impact. Dwayne Brown, remember they brought him in? You got running backs. I understand last year they got hurt right before the playoffs. That hurt us. Russell Wilson, what have you lost? 4 of your last 5 playoff games? Is that correct? Russell Wilson, what's going on? You try to deflect. You try to talk about the offensive line. Russell, we won the Super Bowl with the highest pressure percentage given up by our offensive line. We were in the Super Bowl, and we had the second highest. And then this year, we're 7th highest. I mean, that's nothing to brag about, but it's a better offensive line than even when you won a Super Bowl and you went to a Super Bowl, but threw a pick. The point is, man, I think why Russell Wilson's not taking a shot at Pete Carroll and not deflecting to him, because he knows Pete Carroll has the receipts. If I'm sitting here from this vantage point seeing all this, I know Pete Carroll sees it.
I think the other thing we have to be cognizant of is this. Eventually, relationships run their course. Ooh. We see in society, divorce rate about 50, 60% right now.
Oh, that's what keeping you single?
That's it, basically. And what you tell me off camera. Now, we see... he lying. We see society, and what it comes down to is itself. Think about this, bro. Quarterback-coach combination since the 1950s of a quarterback that hasn't started under another head coach. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll are second. Behind our own Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Noll. That's big. They're ahead of Tom Landry and Staubach, et cetera. They have started 144 games together, 98 wins, second most all-time quarterback and coach combination. Eventually, egos get in the way. Russell Wilson came into the league humble. I believe he was a 3rd-round pick. We came into the same draft. I think he was 3rd, not 4th. Comes into the league, just a little meek 3rd-round pick. Pete Carroll, USC football. Ego is imbalanced. It's all Pete Carroll. Russell Wilson, you just a dude. First couple of years, Russell Wilson, you still just a dude. Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, even Bobby Wagner, all bigger dudes than you, Russ. But then there came a switch. About 2014, 2015, Russell Wilson, you become the guy. His ego gets inflated, rightfully so. I think we're seeing that power imbalance play out before us.
Yeah, man, you took me to another place. My favorite player growing up, there were 2. Eric Dickerson, because I was a running back, tall, thought I was going to be him, even had the curl. And then I was like, nah, that ain't me. John Elway, then I realized that wasn't going to be me. I didn't have the arm, but John Elway comes to mind. Remember John Elway before Terrell Davis? He got close. He was almost there. And people were like, he was still John Elway. He would just amaze you with his ability, like Russell Wilson does. But then you're like, you're missing something in that recipe. Something's off. And I'm looking at this situation, this relationship. that they finally figured that out in the latter stages of Elway's career. The point is, I don't think this is a relationship issue. It hasn't run its course. Let them figure this out, but stop deflecting and stop the blame game, Russ. Coming up, Bruce Arians said Tom Brady came to Tampa to win a different way. We'll tell you if that was Brady's biggest motivation to leave New England next. Don't speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Uncle Jimmy is with us, so here you have some words of advice for Russell Wilson.
Look here, man. Russell Wilson knows that he's my main man, 50 grand and all. So he know I ain't got no choice but to keep it but a $150 with him, all right? See, back in my day, we had a phrase, and it was just simply said that to thine own self be true. And this means don't lie to yourself, then can't nobody else lie to you. See, Russell Wilson, he's a good dude. He's a class act. He's what they would call a credit to his race. Some people would say that Russell Wilson makes Travis Kelce look like Malcolm X. But see, Russell Wilson still got a lot to learn.
Oh, God.
See, women are like sports cars, meaning that if you don't know how to drive, then you're going to end up crashing and burning. See, this is why the Bible clearly states that thou shalt not let thy spouse overrun thy mouth. Hey, Wiley, remember that Spielberg movie? The one that had Oprah, Whoopi, and Mister in it? The colored people? Remember the end of that movie where Daddy got upset and said, "What the hell's wrong with your boy? You're sitting at the head of your own table acting like a waiter. Hey, you want to be with the Seattle Seahawks and you can't even sit at your own damn table. Hell, what's wrong with you?"
That's it for us. Like literally, that's it for us.